something that's had a lot of hype surrounding it is Zack Snyder's Justice League, which also will be hitting HBO Max sometime in March, which I think very much plays a factor into the news that Zack Snyder has come out with. Which, quick side note with this, does literally anybody else besides Zack Snyder use Vero? Like, at all? I don't know what Vero is, but the only time I ever hear it mentioned is Zack Snyder posted on his Vero. I'm going, okay, am I just an old person? What is Vero? Is it like Vimeo except cooler? Okay, that aside, somebody asked him on Vero, is your movie a 4-part miniseries like we've been led to believe, or is it a one-shot? And he said one-shot. So this kind of implies that his version of Justice League, that'll be airing on HBO Max, will be a 4-hour-long movie as opposed to a 4-part miniseries. Here's where I might surprise Michael. This is great news. And this is coming from someone that has not been looking forward to this movie at all. I'm not a Snyder fan. I'm not. I like Man of Steel quite a bit. But here's why I think this is a good move. HBO Max and Zack Snyder has both made it abundantly clear he has had full creative autonomy. You can go balls to wall on this, make it as Snyder as possible. This is 100% your baby. If this is his true vision of what he wanted to do originally with this movie, before Joss Whedon and everyone took over, I don't think for 1 minute he ever intended it to be a 4-part miniseries, because if it is, then the way you structure it and the way you cut it has to be altered. Because if it's a 4-part thing, you have to find a way to cut it to leave people wanting more for the next episode. There's got to be... It's like when you watch a movie in the theater as opposed to when you watch it on TV. When you watch it on TV, they have to factor in commercial breaks. And often, in times when you watch movies on TV, there's that really awkward dip to black when there's clearly not a good way to split this. So I think that might have happened of, boy, that was a weird way to leave this little chunk here. 4 hours is ridiculously long. But to me, that means this is what Snyder wants, for better or for worse. We'll see how it goes. But while I don't agree with his creative direction, I'm all for people expressing their own creativity how they want to. And Zack Snyder seemingly has had full creative control of that. Good for him. I don't agree with his vision, but I'm glad he's been able to fulfill his vision. And so while 4 hours is ridiculously long for a movie, having it as a movie as opposed to a TV show means to me that they didn't have to cut it or tailor a specific way to fit the format better for a 4-part miniseries as opposed to a 4-hour movie. That makes sense, Michael? You see it? Any different thoughts on a 4-hour long Justice League movie?
What you just ended with there, the technical aspects, makes perfect sense. And then there's how I feel about it, and that's that I've never looked forward to watching 4 hours of anything, for Zack Snyder. I haven't at all, let alone, a couple hours. So I'm not really excited about it. I probably won't be watching this, honestly. I'm not going to get HBO Max. There's nothing out there that's making me get HBO Max unless for some reason I can't go see Godzilla. Then my dad and I will just have to sacrifice and watch it at home. But I don't know, man. This for me, it exudes the exact opposite reaction that you had, and because just the longer it goes, it's kind of like somebody who believes they have great content, but they feel the need to explain themselves. But it's like, well, when I say this, I really meant this, and so when I say that, I don't want to offend you, so I'm going to keep explaining, and then you had a really good point that would have been summed up in a minute, and now you've been talking for 25 minutes. And it's like you had something good, you just had to keep going. You just had to keep adding to it. It's kind of like a Michael Bay action piece. It's like, oh, that's really cool, and now it's ridiculous. So for me, that's how I feel about it. It doesn't. I'm mildly curious. Now I'm just not curious any longer because I'm like, that's just insane. It's longer than Return of the King.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No,
How long?
not the
How long
extended
is?
edition. Not the
Well,
extended edition, I
okay,
don't think.
the extended
Which is the
edition.
only true version. Come at me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I barely make it through that at 4 hours, and I love that movie. So this, I'll do this. I will let you take the plunge and make the sacrifice,
Yeah,
and
thanks.
you can sell it to me.
Yeah, I haven't been super excited for this, but I'll still probably watch it. I don't know if I'll be able to do it in one sitting as much as I want to, because I think that's how a movie's supposed to be watched. I'll try my best, but a 4 hour chunk is really hard, even if I do agree that this is probably how it should be, because this is how Snyder would want it to be. Um, I also think, and call me crazy here, I think Kong versus Godzilla factors into this, and here's why. If it HBO Max is desperate, and I mean desperate for content right now, and they are banking heavily on the Snyder Cut doing well. Which also, all you Snyder Cut fans out there, I have faith in you that you'll do the right thing here. But for the love of God, do not pirate this movie. You're the ones that have been asking and begging for this movie for years. So when it comes available to you, Snyder Cut fans, Snyder haters, support the movie by actually watching it. If you pirate a movie, you're scum. I hate you. I really do. Um, Even Snyder, who I strongly disagree with, I will support him by legally watching this. And this is someone I disagree with in a lot of stuff. But I think they're banking heavily on this bringing in a lot of subscribers for HBO Max. And if Kong vs. Godzilla is coming out sometime in March, I think they're going to want to have 1 week of Justice League, another week of Kong vs. Godzilla, and those two shall ne'er ever meet in terms of publicity and marketing. You want 2 solid waves of momentum as opposed to one big, huge wave that lasts for maybe about a week or two. Then, as opposed to here, say you do Snyder Cut at the beginning of March, and then you do Kong vs. Godzilla at the end of March. That way you can kind of keep the wave going along as opposed to one massive wave. I think that's, from a marketing standpoint, at least for me, that makes more sense to have 2 big things, whereas if you keep having 4 chunks of Justice League, that might detract the shine off of Godzilla vs. Kong, which I know we said Warner Bros. Doesn't look like they care about it. They care about it from a marketing perspective. You want your whoever's up next in the batting order to have all the lights on them right now, when thus far they're the only thing. Look at Disney Plus. Any of their headline programming, they do not air the same time as another headlining program. Falcon Winter Soldier does not come out the same week as WandaVision. It'll come out after. That way, you keep the money train rolling. You keep people's investment. I think that's another reason why the Snyder Cut's not getting cut into 4, because we can have Godzilla 1 week, and they can kind of keep slowly, because they're desperate for content, milk the content that they need to until they can churn out the actual content that they need to.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense because that's the one thing that's lacking on this platform. I, being one of the potential consumers, I just decided to go ahead and buy, like, The West Wing, for example, and The Newsroom, some of my favorite shows that got moved from Netflix and Prime over to HBO Max. I just decided to go outright buy them. Everything else on the platform, I'm not interested in, but the things that did come to the platform were very underwhelming, like Wonder Woman 1984. So
Oh.
it was something, yeah, something like this, something like, But I will say this though, to stretch out the content, wouldn't they want to make it a mini series and release it once a week in a way? Isn't there a counter argument to be made there?
Uh, if it's good, I think.
Okay.
Like I'm a big proponent of the weekly model. Like Mando, like WandaVision. I get people like the binge, but I like the building of anticipation each week. But given how short it would have been for Snyder Cut, just 4 weeks, I think it's better to just do it as one block. Just dump it at once, because again, like I said earlier, I think if Snyder always intended this to be a theatrically released movie, then you do that. If you're giving him as much creative control as he wants, then do it. Don't make it a miniseries. Also, there's been some rumors out there that he wants to make it a 4K Blu-ray release. I don't know if I buy that. Again, nothing against Snyder, but it would be incredibly idiotic for them to do a physical release of the Snyder Cut. And it has nothing to do with the quality of the movie. It would be incredibly idiotic because you alienate the people that might sign up for HBO Max. They'll just be like, oh, they're coming out with a hard copy version of Snyder Cut? Oh, I'll just wait and I'll rent it later. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Disney Plus has not, nor will they ever, release The Mandalorian on Blu-ray or 4K. Because the only way you can watch The Mandalorian is on Disney Plus, and that's exactly how Disney Plus likes it. Maybe they do Snyder Cut on hard copy. I just think it's incredibly stupid to do that because there's a lot of people that want the Snyder Cut. You want their money? Make them pay for it via HBO Max. If they buy it as a hard copy, that's a one-time thing. They pay $25 one time and they have it. Warner Bros. No longer continues to get money from you. If you air it on HBO Max, and it's the only place you can see it is HBO Max, they will continue to get the $15 out of you month after month. So maybe they'll do a physical release of Zack Snyder's Justice League, but if I'm Warner Brothers, I don't for the monetary reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's funny how you mentioned though the weekly model. It's just we finally come full circle back to network television
Except
and regular
better.
seasons. Yeah, except better budget, better quality, better writing, all this stuff. But it's funny, like as far as the release schedule, it's like, yeah, I really like this whole once a week thing. It's really nice. And what, yeah, you know how it always was. It's just a little ironic to me.